Now, do any of you guys know who that is?
Bought Alaska from Russia.
That is correct. He is the Secretary of State who purchased Alaska for 2 cents an acre. Now, this here was originally put up as an honor pole to honor William Seward because he had helped us by purchasing Alaska from the Russians, who were not exactly very nice to us. Now, when he did this, he came here and we threw him potlatches. You guys all remember what that is? Yeah, we threw him potlatches. Now, if you look at his hat there, that there is what's known as a potlatch hat. And each ring on it represents one potlatch that was thrown for him. So for 4 rings, there were 4 potlatches. Now, remember how I said before, when you're given a gift, you're always meant to give one in return? The same as with the potlatch. When you have one thrown for you, you're always meant to throw one back to the person or people who threw one for you. Now, we don't know if it was lost in translation or he just didn't want to do it, but for every single gift we gave him and every potlatch we threw him, he had never returned a single one. So, after a good bit of time, when he left the last time and did not come back, we climbed up to the top of that pole there, painted his nose and his ears red, now turning it into a shame pole, shaming William Seward for taking our kindness for granted. Now, there's a little funny part about this pole here. We actually had William Seward's great-grandson come on the exact same tour you guys are on today. And when we told him the story about this pole, he was downright furious. He said, "I want this pole taken down now." We're like, "All right, we'll take it down for you, as long as you pay us back every single dollar he had taken from us." He's like, "All right, how much is it?" So we go down to the store there, calculate it out, came out to roughly $2.2 million. So he did the same thing as his great-grandfather, got right back on the ship, left, and never came back. Alrighty. So, if you guys want to learn more about the totem pole stories, feel free to come back here to me at your free time, and I'll be more than happy to tell you some more. But with that, we're going to be heading into that small building right over there. Take a nice big whiff, because this is what I would call the best smelling building on the island. Love the secret scent.
It's bad what happened to my people. I heard
Yeah, I think there's only around 20,000 people. And only about, I would say, 7 buses. Wow. Not too many. Yeah, I think I introduced myself. So, my name is Herbert. I am Plinkett, and I am part of the Raven Beaver clan. Now I'd like to welcome you guys here to the Edwin C. DeWitt Carving Center. This place was built in 1989 for local carvers to have a place to practice their craft. Now here today we do got a carver with us. This gentleman over here, his name is Mr. Nathan Jackson. Now a little bit about Mr. Nathan Jackson is he is known as a Plinkett master carver and has been carving for over 50 years. Wow. Where is it 60 now? Yeah, 60. Now, if you guys would like to see some of his works of art, he has a little portfolio somewhere around there. Probably. Where's the little portfolio for the poles? Never mind. But he has done a lot of works of art, and he's gone all around the world to do so. He's got some in London, Germany, Japan, and he's got some all throughout the lower 48 and back up through Alaska. Now, this here is one of these poles that he had made. This pole is carrying the same story as the Cox Bear pole outside. This actually sits in the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. And as you guys can see, this drawing here was all completely done by hand. The first tools for a carver is not a set of these or anything you see along the wall. It's actually a pencil, eraser, and a piece of paper. Because before you can carve the pole, you have to draw an outline for it first. Now, let's talk about the 3 types of wood that they use. First of which is the red cedar. Now, the red cedar is known as the tree of life amongst the Tlingit people for its many uses. First of which is its bark. See if I have an example here. Now, the bark here, how we would get it is we would go out to the woods, find a nice sturdy western red cedar tree, and then strip off about 1/3 of its bark at the most. This is because if we were to strip off any more than 1/3, it would end up killing the tree, and we would like to leave it behind for future generations to be able to weave with. But now once we cut it off, we bring it home, clean it up, and then strip it down into smaller sizes so that we can weave with it. Now, things that we weave are things such as hats, baskets, headbands, dancing robes, as well as sleeping mats. Now, the reason why we use this material to make our hats is because when the bark soaks up water, it actually closes up all the holes on the inside of it so that it keeps you nice and waterproof. Now, the second use we have for this tree is for this tree itself. Now, we would use this for our larger projects, such as totem poles, dugout canoes, and clan houses like the one that you were in right up there. And even this building here is made entirely out of western red cedar.
Beautiful.
Now, the second type of wood that we use is known as yellow cedar. Now, yellow cedar is a denser, tighter grained wood, meaning it is a little bit harder to carve with, but it does tend to show better detail in the end. Now, things that we make out of it are things such as rattles, paddles, dancing masks, dancing hats, as well as small totem poles. Now, third type of wood that we use, now red alder, we use that. We only have 2 main uses for it. We use it for our cooking utensils, as well as our tool handles. Now, the reason why we use it for our cooking utensils is because red alder is a much less oily wood, meaning you can better taste the food that you are eating and not as much the wood that you're eating off of. Now, the second use for it is, of course, the tool handles. Now, what a carver would do to go get a tool handle is he would go out to the woods, find a nice 45-degree angle straight branch like this here. He would cut it off, custom fit it to his hand, and then he would strap a blade on the end of it. Now, by the time you're done with all that, it will look something similar to the shape like this. Now, this here is known as the elbow adze. Now, the reason why it's called the elbow adze is because of its elbow-like shape. Now, this here would be used as a finishing tool to give the nice smooth textures you guys could have felt on the totem poles outside, on the clan house benches up there, as well as some of the splattered surfaces around here. Now, one thing to note is that there was no sandpaper used in any of the final stages of our projects. They were all finished off with this type of tool here. Now, the next tool I'd like to talk about is known as the lip adze. Don't see an example for it, but the lip adze, it's very similar to the shape like this. The only difference is the blade is a little bit wider and it lips down on either side. And we use that for the middle stages of the totem to help give it its rough general shape. And then the last tool that we use, which I also don't see an example for, here we are. This here is known as the ship adze. Now, the ship adze is very similar to the lip adze. See by the lip on either side of the blade? It's just a little bit larger, and you'll notice that the handle is different. They give it the modern axe handle so that they can have a little bit of a better swing. Now, this here would be used in the beginning stages of the totem to hollow out the backside and to hollow out the inside of a dugout canoe. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, why would you hollow out the backside of a totem? The reasoning for this is because western red cedar tends to rot from the inside out. So taking out the inside allows the pole to prolong its life, as well as taking a good chunk of the weight off as well. Now, there's a couple of common questions that we usually get around here. First of those questions is how much does it cost to have a totem pole commissioned for you? So a carver who's just starting out, still trying to get his name out there, he can charge anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per foot. Now a little bit more experienced carver, he could charge, who's been carving for maybe a couple years, got his name out there a little bit, he could charge anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 per foot. But now for a master carver, he can charge anywhere from $5,000 or more per foot. Now, can I get a show of hands for who all wants a totem pole? Who's messing with you guys? Now, a couple common places that do buy totem poles are places such as museums, airports, schools, the cruise lines, or even private buyers such as yourselves who like the art and have the money to spend on it. Now, this does wrap up my presentation here. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Thank you, Dad. You're doing some job.
Is the paint special at all?
Yes, the paint. So let me talk about the paint here really quickly. So there are three main colors of paint. There they are. Grab it here. Stuff it all in the box. Alright, so the first of those three paints here is this red one here, which we get from iron oxide. Or some of you guys better know it as rust. Second color here, this bluish green one, we get this one from copper oxide. Then lastly, we get this last color here from charcoal or coal when it was more readily available. Now, originally, how we would make this paint, what we would do is we would take these materials, grind them up into a nice fine powder, put that powder into a bowl, and then grab a handful of raw salmon eggs. Put them into your mouth, chew it up, and mix it with your saliva. And after that, you would spit that mixture into the bowl as to not get any eggshells or egg pulp into the paint. And that would give us one of our first early oil-based paints. Now that paint would last anywhere from 25 to 100 years. But nowadays, though, the women in the village really don't like to make our paint anymore. So what we do instead is we actually head down to the local Ace hardware store to some custom blended paints. Alrighty, any other questions for me?
She has a question.
What was that?
Have you ever tried to make anything or tried your hand at craft?
No. So the reason why is not because I'm bad at carving, it's because I am bad at drawing. The best you get from me is a couple of stick figures. Alright, anyone else? Yes?
Why do the women not like